Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Culture Shock here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on Twitter at FFTJBlakeDNA. And we're joined, should I say, by the Caribbean Cultured One, because he will be going on vacation, and I'm happy for him for that. Spreading some culture down there in the Caribbean, some NFL culture talk with some people on a cruise ship. It's my good friend, Big Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on Twitter at Big E Fat Bob. Bob, I know the season's put you through a lot. All this bad play, some of these bad players, you just needed to get away, and I don't blame you for that. So I'm happy for you, my friend, for the vacation. But are you ready to talk the last week of the 2025 season, last regular season week? You ready to do one more Culture Shock covering this regular season?
Well, I'm going to put a twist on it, but yeah, I think that I don't think that much of this week needs to be rehashed, but we definitely got some stuff that I'm going to talk about.
Okay. Well, as always, without further ado, as I always say, let's turn it over to you right now, Bob. The first topic that you want to talk about here. What do you have for us for week 18?
So what I wanted to do is start at the bottom and work my way to the top. It'll take us a little bit. I thought we could do two teams at a time, and then I'll just throw in some stuff at the end. You know how I could do that pretty easily. But so I want to talk about, I'm going to go from, the worst to first, and of course, by the time we get done with this, we'll have the playoffs completed and things like that. So I just want to talk about assets that I'm interested in and assets I'm not really going to touch or whatever from every team, right? I mean, obviously, when we're at the bottom, we got to start with the good old Vegas Raiders because it doesn't matter where they can win a game, they could squeeze one out, but guess what? They're still the worst team in the league. They're going to end up doing something stupid. I'm afraid they draft. I mean, I really don't know if I want to get into that part of it, but if they draft Mendoza, I don't think it helps any. But they got Geno Smith currently. I think he's under contract for a hot minute. Of course, Gentry. Yeah, I bowl with a guy named Gentry. That got me all screwed up. Genty or whatever. They got Zach Besh and DeAndre Thornton. Obviously, they're going to need some wide receiver help because they traded Myers away this year. They got Trey Tucker also. Brock Bowers, Michael Merritt. So just briefly, we all know that I'm not super keen on these assets in general. Bowers is an absolute stud. Problem is the situation sucks. I think Genty is talented. Problem is the situation's worse for him because he's got to count on more players to be successful. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. That's probably debatable, but whatever. So I think that if I was looking to acquire anyone, which I'm really not, but Bowers is the key. I think Michael Mayer may be free, but I don't know if he put up some games when Bowers was out. So maybe I'd like to see if he lands somewhere, if he gets a decent deal. I mean, somebody's going to fall in Kansas City. And if Andy Reid is still there, they're going to throw the ball at tight end. So yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to be Kelsey. I'm not saying it's going to be Mayer, but watch. It's entirely possible. If, of course, Andy Reid's seen Michael Mayer because they're in the same division. He has that familiarity with the player, so it's entirely possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't know what it'll actually be super successful. But if it's something you can get for the quote unquote pair of socks, go for it. You might be able to, depend. And I don't know. I would love to obviously have some kind of grasp on what everybody feels like a dynasty league, like roster depth should be. But I like super deep rosters. I don't want anything out on the waivers really. And if you find something on the waivers, it's legit like diamond in the rough, dude. Like, that's how I play. That's how I prefer my lineup. So something you'd have to give up a little bit of something for would be what I would expect out of Mayer. And you want to comment on how bad the Vegas Raiders are?
Well, I just knew you couldn't wait to start with them, considering that they locked up the number one pick officially, right? They officially got the number one pick, like you said, and it's going to be Mendoza, right? It has to be no doubt about it. And I'm like you, Bob. I really don't think that they're in a position to do it. But at the same token, like they really don't have any other choice, right? I mean, quarterback is a glaring need. Now, let me say, I mean, I think that if they had a plan, right, like maybe try to suck again next year. Like let the kids sit the entire year, try to suck again. But we all know these NFL teams, they want to get wins, they want to put butts in seats. That's what it's all about. But I'm telling you right now, I'm like what you're saying, though. Like Brock Bowers, look, if Mendoza lands there, Brock Bowers is going to skyrocket, right? Like, so if there is any kind of a little window to buy him, I'm going to take full advantage of that, right? Like, I don't think Mendoza is going to be the next coming
Right.
or anything like that, but he is going to be a big upgrade over what they've had, no doubt about it. And I like what you said. I like what you said too about Michael Mayer. I think that that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, just low key, a sneaky little move. If it's a player you like, and you know, Bob, I know you believe in this as well. Maybe even one of these listeners out there, right? Maybe this is a guy you liked a long time ago, going back to the draft process. If you could get him for that next to nothing, that pair of socks, I have no problem rolling the dice on taking chances on guys like that. So I'm like you. I think it's going to be still a little bit rocky shores and seas for the Raiders, but I will say, if they can put an offensive line together at some point in the next couple years, and Mendoza can be maybe what he can hit his ceiling at, maybe they got something, but they got to try to not kill this kid in the meantime. That's my biggest worry. And as you said, no receiving help either. I mean, there's holes all over the place with this Vegas team,
We're only
especially on
talking about the offense.
That's right. But I think you could agree with me though, Bob, if you were GMing the Raiders right now, and it's going to be Mendoza, it has to be, right? I mean, it just is. I think with them other picks, I'm taking all offense, whether it's linemen, some weapons, whatever I can get to help this kid, and just hey, if we're bad on defense, so be it. We'll fix that problem later. I mean, that's what I would do, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I would have already been trying to stock the cupboard, right? I would have already traded
Right.
Max Crosby. I would have already traded Ashton Genty. Of course, I would have drafted Ashton Genty last year. And again, nothing against the player. You're not ready for Cadillacs with the team that you have. You know what I mean? You don't have property. You don't have it's like when you drive through a trailer park and you legit see that super fancy Corvette sitting next to a rundown trailer. I'm like, well, you're car poor. You know what I mean? Like you were dumb. You know, you should have never got that, mortgage payment on your car and maybe tried to get a house instead. But whatever. And I mean, no offense to people who live in trailer parks. I'm sorry if you're offended, but I'm just saying, like, don't go buy a super nice car with sitting next to a trailer. It's just silly. But like, yeah, I mean, I would have tried to just stockpile. And I mean, like, I talked with this with my Logan and the Bengals, or sorry, my son Logan with the Bengals. Like, and I also, the same thing with Vegas. Like, if you got something that's got, a price that you could go out and you go get a couple of guards off of some team that's deep, that's making it like Philadelphia is absolutely, they go out and just cherry pick defensive ends and stuff from people all the time. Like, if you could have traded Max Crosby to Philadelphia and gotten like two backup guards, or a backup guard and a backup tackle, or something like that, because man, most of the time they're very good about at least seeing the ability for a player to progress. If you could have got that and maybe a pick, or one player and two picks, something along the lines, that would have been Bob GM the way to go. But they're Vegas. They're gonna do stupid things, and that's why they're picking number one again. That's why they picked 6 last year. And like, that's how I look at it too. It's like you picked 6. You would think that when your picks get high in the draft, you would like to not pick so high the next year, but you pick 6 and you shot to the top. You know what I mean?
It goes from bad
Yeah,
to worse. It goes
yeah,
from bad to worse. I mean, no doubt about it. And I will say, I mean, look, I like the Mendoza kid, but I am
right.
concerned, right? I mean, just because of where he's going to land, hope to God that somehow, some way he can survive it. But again, I'm like you, Bob. Brock Bowers, I think that guy right there is going to get a tremendous lift from this as long as he stays healthy, right? So I'm in agreement with you on that. So let me guess, who has number 2 in the draft slot order that you want to bring up? Is it next that we're going to be talking about?
Tennessee was the number 2 team so far, and I'm just going by what Sleeper has as far as the standings in reverse order. So hopefully they're the ones that figured it out right, but the Tennessee Titans. So they get one pick better this year. Wahoo! But Cam Ward, obviously Pollard, Spears. I don't know what their contract situations are like, but I'm not a I'll come back to it after I ramble through all the names. Amanor, DK, Chig, and Helm. That's probably the only guys I think have any real relevance as far as offensive skill position players go on this team. Like I was saying with Pollard and Spears, I don't know what their contracts are like. I think Pollard did pretty well this year considering the situation, but he's not one of these guys I want to go pay like second round picks for, right? If I could get him for a third or, third, fourth, I don't even know if I want to part with 2/3 for him because I just think I might be able to get something else. And Spears hasn't had knees, I don't think, since he's been in the NFL. I mean, he's literally, I think, playing, bone on bone, which I have bone on bone. It's no fun. And I just walk. I don't do running things and try and pound, the rock. So, Amanor and DK. I think that these two could be part of an offense. I don't think that they can be the offense. I think they got Calvin Ridley still, but I don't know if he's probably just needs to retire. So many people were like super convinced he was going to be the target hog. And I think it was DK ended up leading the team in targets or whatever on the year. And, hey, if you play in just an FYI, if you play in any return point leagues, DK is a stud. Like he was like wide receiver 2 or 3 in one of our leagues or whatever where we had kick and punt return yardage. So, but I digress. I think I'm interested in Ward as a backup QB2. You know what I mean? Not QB2, but like my QB3 or my QB4. I don't want to overly invest in it. I think the rushing yards may be there and it may come along a little bit, but it seemed like as the year went on, he got a little better. I'm not saying it was great or anything, but he put some solid tape together in some games. Nothing that was outstanding. He's a rookie still. I think Gunnar Helm looks the part. Now, whether or not they keep Chig seemed to have some pretty good games there too along the way. He's super athletic. Who knows? That guy could be on the move too because I believe he is a free agent going into next year. And again, Amanor, I don't think either one of these guys are cut out to be the one, but I think they could be a 2 or a 2+. And like I said with DK, if you're playing in a like a return yardage league or whatever, that this is another team that needs to get as much as they can on offense. The offensive line, they need a weapon, but it's like I don't know that they're not going to draft the wide receiver at 2. I hope, but I just don't think this is a year to draft somebody at 2. Of course, I didn't think it was a year to draft somebody at 4 with Marvin Harrison, but yeah, mistakes were made.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, right? I mean, now I will say, Bob, on Tankathon, the Jets are second, the Cardinals are third, and the Titans are fourth. So the Titans are actually fourth, but we will talk about them because they all finished with the same record, right? So it's definitely not promising looking. But let me just say with the Tennessee Titans, I agree with a lot what you said about Cam Ward. I am semi-interested as far as like I'm not going to overpay, no doubt about it. But like if there are people out there that are ready just to not believe or ready just to abandon ship, like I'm willing to take on that challenge with Cam Ward. Like I know it's ugly. What we've seen from the Titans this year hasn't been good. But again, this is another team that has holes all over the place. But it is encouraging seeing the play he had going down the stretch. And it's like, look, I don't know. I really appreciate what Bryce Young has done as far as a solid type of a guy. But like if you were a team that's kind of a rebuilder and you wanted to shake it up and get Cam Ward and try to hit a ceiling, like I couldn't blame you for that, right? Like in some kind of instances where you're swapping quarterbacks in a scenario, if someone wanted to make that move, I couldn't blame somebody if you wanted to try to hit a ceiling. But, I also like what you said about like DK and AO Manor. Like these guys here in startup drafts are guys that I'm going to pick a lot later, especially, right? Like these guys I think could have a little substance because I'm like you, Bob. They can't afford really, I think, to take a receiver in the top part of this draft. I mean, offensive line, they need pass rushing help desperately bad as well. offensive line. Like they just need all kinds of spots filled. So wide receiver don't make a ton of sense. So I'm with you. Like I think them guys are kind of interesting. Like I'm not going to overpay for them in a trade, but in startups, yes, as throw-ins and trades, sure, why not? I mean, we see DK. I think he finished like wide receiver 48. I'm not sure what AO Manor finished. I'll look it up. But I will say, I mean, that is respectable considering the fact that he is a rookie on one of the worst teams in football and really just didn't really get going till like what, week 7, 6, something like that is when we really started seeing his name pop up. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's another young player. And if you're a rebuilder out there, this is what I'm saying to all my rebuilder listeners out there. Like these guys are great guys to get in as throw ins, right? Or if you're going productive struggle, draft them later. Or if you do have a good team, draft them later for depth. Maybe you get a diamond in the rough. Look at Michael Wilson. I'm not saying these guys are as good as Michael Wilson. I mean, I don't think that. I really don't. But I mean, I think I got Michael Wilson in like the 18th round in some leagues this year. Like I picked him up that late, just a player I believed in as well. So I think that that's all good talk. And it will be interesting, right? Like, does Pollard stay there? I know like he was supposed to have some kind of incentive bonus today. Like if he hit a certain number of yards, they were going to pay him money. He didn't hit it. I'm sure he's not going to be too happy about that. So, I mean, we'll have to see how that works out. But the Titans are a mess. Hopefully they protect Cam Ward. Like if I am making that pick for the Titans, I think that is my first and foremost priority. He got hurt in the game today, but this kid still has a ceiling. And I like the grit that he has. I mean, he got knocked down. He keeps coming back for more. And as you said, down the stretch, it got better. So, I mean, I'm kind of where you're at when I'm looking at the Titans, Bob. This running back position, though, this could be maybe something they fill through free agency. Do they draft someone? And those receivers, I'll take a shot on them late. But I'm like you, I'm not going to go out of hand though with the Titans.
I was just thinking about a couple things here. Like number one, we'll just keep going with this talk because it seems to be going pretty well. And then number two, what I was thinking here is if they can even if they get lucky enough that 4 of these players are, because they're all rookies, right? Ward, Amanor, DK, and Helm. Like if this becomes their offensive core, they really did a good job. Even if they have to add another wide receiver and part of the running game, either in this draft or free agency,
Right.
they didn't do too bad. But you know, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas all the time, right? We have no idea if this is gonna stick, you know. So let's not glaze it too much. But yeah. So let's
Right.
just go.
But I will say though, real quick before I let you turn it over though, out of the top of these teams, like these are one of the ones that are picking probably in the top 5, 7 that I have more hope for maybe getting themselves out of, right? Like I think that there is a little light there. So I think you can agree, but I'll turn it over to you now.
The one thing I want to add to that is and to share sent it to me the other day. Apparently they promoted somebody within to like to right the ship. I'm like, man, is that the best idea? But whatever. It's Tennessee. They may pick 2 or 3 next year. They may pick in the top 15. It's like really all depends on Houston, how bad they get walloped, I think, or if Indianapolis can get their their stuff together or whatever. So let's just go on to the next team because number one, these 4 teams are all the same record, right? I was really only going to do 2 a week, but I can fluctuate, so we'll just do that. So the Jets. I still wrote down Fields because technically he's the one I think that's under contract. They're not going to keep Fields. There's just no way. I can't see that it's even possible unless they just are like, look, the 26 class is not where we want to get our quarterback. Really, if Dante Moore doesn't come out and Mendoza's the only other, to me, those are the 2. And I just Simpson or whatever for Alabama turned into a pumpkin. Julian Sam with Ohio State, I don't think he's ready to come out even if he wanted to. I mean, and then man, you're talking about turd sandwiches. I mean, there's just not a lot. I mean, I know that for the deep dive we're coming up, we're going to do a early mock draft, and like I'm struggling to, in a super flex league to be like, oh, what maybe the third quarterback. Bleh, I don't know. So yeah, I try to make all those laughy things when you just go to take a big drink of water. That way, maybe you spit all over your microphone. But so then we got Brees Hall, Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen is not Brees Hall. He may not be a starting capable running back in the league, but he's still super young. He is an athlete, whether or not he shows it on the field very much or not. He's just, I don't know. And it's still the Jets. So, Teixeira sent me a video, and this guy's like, "This is what I would do," and he's like, "Do whatever you can, get Mendoza or Moore, whichever one, I don't care." And then he's talking about making all these draft picks, and I'm like, "That's great, except for the fact that every one of those draft picks has to hit for you to think you're going to be good." And I just don't see that happening. It's still the Jets. Adonai Mitchell, Garrett Wilson, John Mechie, um, Mason Taylor, and Jeremy Ruckert. I only put Jeremy Ruckert on there because I know he signed an extension. Could they possibly just try and run with like a Mitchell and Wilson combo and then 2 tight ends? Ruckert was a very sought after college recruit. Now he went to Ohio State where tight ends really go to die. So I have no idea why you would make that decision as a high school athlete, be like, yeah, let's go to Ohio State. They never throw to tight ends there. So, but whatever, he learned how to block really well, which I think is part of why the Jets need to keep him, because, the offensive line did no one any favors this year, whether they were good or not. That the one guy we were listening to, he made it out like the line was going to be great. And I'm like, man, I don't know. So it is what it is. Wilson is a stud if he can get targets, so they do need to do something at quarterback. I'm a Fields guy, and I'm like, it's probably time. It's definitely probably time. I think that they have a big hit contract wise though, so they may end up just being like, we're throwing you to the wolves one more year. Hopefully we suck and we get the cherry on the top quarterback next year. I have no idea if the ownership or Aaron Glenn or whatever is that solidified in, confident in their position with the team to be able to have another tank year. But Mason Taylor's really good at catching the ball and falling down. I don't think he had a single broken tackle all year, which is crazy to think from a tight end. Yeah, Mitchell, when he got there, he turned it on a little bit. You know what I mean? He looks like a competent football player. Ironically, he gets kicked out of Indianapolis for just dropping the ball at the goal line and doing some knucklehead things. Like, I don't know. I mean, can you not just coach a guy like, hey, man, just like, we don't want to cut you. Like, why don't you fix yourself? But they let him walk, and now he's the Jets' problem or solution. Who knows? I don't know that I'm real interested. That Brees Hall is the prize of this whole thing. Like I go through. I like Wilson a lot, but Brees Hall, like, can he go somewhere? I want to see that happen instead of him being stuck in gangrene.
But yeah, I think it's almost a necessity. And you brought up the fact that Garrett Wilson re-signed there, which was very deflating and disappointing. Now, Bob, there's 2 questions I want to ask you about the Jets, and I'm in agreement with you. I don't want anything on this team outside of Brees Hall, which he might be out of the team anyway, free agency. There's a lot to talk about this offseason, right? And then, as far as Garrett Wilson goes, yes, if someone's willing to undersell him, and just be able to be like, look, I'm just done with it, I will take that chance because I think he's immensely talented. Right. I do think he's a very, very talented receiver. But the first question I want to ask you is, cut and dry, is Aaron Glenn back? I mean, what's your thoughts there right now? Because, look, this was not a good year. I've heard many Jet fans on different things say this is the worst team we've ever seen. I don't know if that's more of them overreacting. They've seen a lot of bad football, though. So, like, you could probably take them on account for that and to trust their opinion. So if they're saying might have been one of the worst Jet teams they've ever seen, do you think Aaron Glenn is back? Do you think he's one and done, or do you think he gets one more kick at the can?
I mean, I know the NFL is not for long, but I don't understand why we would have that mentality, right? I mean, and of course fans are, there's only so many people that are real with their teams, TJ. You may be one of the, 75 whole fan teams out there, right? Like you're either agnostic like myself or you absolutely can't stand your favorite team. Like, you know how to nitpick every hole because you see it perfectly every week. So like that's just is what it is. Like, and I mean, like, it's great. I mean, I'm that way with the Cubs. Like, oh, we need to get a power bat. No, what you need to do is go station to station baseball. It's, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I could go on and on about the Cubs. That's how you are with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand the principle, but I just don't think you can't. What are you setting for the next guy? And then who is the next guy? Like, let's just say you bring it, or you're like, okay, fire Aaron Glenn. You got to fire Aaron Glenn first, right? Then you go shopping. You're like, hey man, we're gonna give you the keys to the car. You get to go cherry pick your own quarterback, and we got this Garrett Wilson guy, but like, so what you're telling me is I get to go get one player. I'm basically gonna have the opportunity to get one player, and I got to try and re-sign a really good running back or bring in another running back. But I still have to fix the whole defense, or whatever the whole thing is. And basically, you did that with the last guy. I mean, and what if we have a worse record, or what if we play just subpar? What if we only increase by 2 wins or whatever on the year? New England's on the rise. Buffalo is still a pretty good team. Miami, whatever. But like, and I don't know who they'll play next year, but like, they're not going to get, they're not going to get light years better just by switching coaches, even if it's an offensive guy. Do they need to get a new offensive coordinator, an offensive scheme? Probably. Yeah, I agree with that. But I cannot, if they do, it's just typical Jets, right? It's
right.
They,
You're saying don't just keep making the same thing happen that we've seen throughout the years. Like, look, and I'm with you, Bob, right? I don't think it's really fair to just throw someone out after one season, right? I mean, we'll give them a chance. We'll see what happens. And look, I mean, say what you want about Aaron Glenn. Like, I don't think maybe he's not a great head coach. Sure. I mean, you could maybe make that argument, but he does care about the Jets. I mean, he was a player for the Jets. He loves the team. He appreciates the team. So, I mean, he's going to give you everything he's got. Now, if it don't work out this year, then you can make the move. So I tend to agree with you, Bob. Okay, give him another chance, one more kick at the can. And what's the worst that happens? Like, if it does go bad, the Jets are picking high again. But the other question I have, Bob, they accumulated this draft capital. They're going to do something with it. If you had all those first round picks right now, how would you fix it? Like, would you make a move? Would you trade a few first to go up with the Raiders and get Mendoza? Would you be that crazy? Or would you just sit where you're at, try to run it back with some veteran like a Brissett, a Malik Willis, somebody like that? Or do you try to make some splashy play for a Kyler Murray or go all in for a Joe Burrow? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Because before we move on, that's the last thing you got to talk about. We're talking about the Jets.
So if the Jets are number 2, like Tankathon has them, first thing I'm doing is I'm calling up Mike Tomlin, and I'm going to be like, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to trade all the way back to you. We're going to take your 27 first, your 28 first, and we'll swap you picks, and let's get another second somewhere along the line. I'll let you pick the second that we're going to take. You can get whatever quarterback falls to you at 2. Sounds like a deal? Sounds like a deal. Okay, good. Bye. Click. And then I'm done, because Pittsburgh or whatever, and I don't care how far back I fall, because I don't think that this team is not one quarterback away. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the Jets management says. Aaron Glenn can come knock on my door at the house and be like, hey, Bob, we're really a quarterback away. I'm like, sorry, Aaron, you're going to have to get that quarterback and show me, because right now I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't care. Mel Kiper, he could come. Hey, Bob, I've been here before. You're a quarterback away. I'm like, no, you were wrong about Phillip Rivers too. Like, that wasn't right either. No, hold on, not Phillip Rivers. Who was it that he thought was the guy that the Colts should have taken? Oh shoot. He went to Sanders. God, man, it's like stuck in my head. Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf. Yeah, Leaf. Like, he was wrong about Ryan Leaf too. Whatever. So like, yeah, I just no. I'm trying to still collect as much capital as possible. This is not the draft to move up in. Next year, if all things, let's let's say fantasy dreamland just happens for all of us, right? And 27 is absolutely stud ridden because it should be. Right now, it should be. There's a lot of players that played well that are going to be in that class. I want as much 27 capital as possible. And that's where I want to be like, okay, now I can take Pittsburgh's pick, which, hopefully with the new quarterback, they're a better team, whether they're, a lot better or whatever, but at least they got a defense. And, I didn't trade two of my best players off defense to just acquire draft capital, whatever. I can do that, and I can move up and get whoever it is. If it's Arch Manning, if it's Lenore Sellers, or if Julian Sand turns the curb, whoever the quarterback next year is, off the top of my head, I can't think about it. It's a wide receiver class that's really dope as far as fantasy goes for 27. But even still, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks available because there's none this year. So, yeah, that would be my plan. Or somebody
Yeah,
else. I mean, it doesn't have to be Pittsburgh. I tried to pick somebody I just thought would be the lowest I would go. I mean, maybe you start with, somebody, I'm looking at this, Cleveland. You could start with Cleveland. Hey, look, Cleveland, this is what we want, because your dog water team, you probably could use a quarterback, so on and so forth. No, okay, you don't want to meet our price. That's cool. Go down to the next team that needs a quarterback. you know, um, Miami. Say you call Miami. I mean, even if they don't need it, just like they're the only thing the only way Miami, I think, is going to be able to replace their QB situation is either to stick with Ewers or to get another rookie somehow or another. Because I don't see how they can carry all that salary with Tua and not, do something along those lines. But we'll talk about Miami when we get to Miami.
All right. So we got two more teams we can squeeze in here, Bob. Who's next on the list after the Jets?
So the Cardinals. And I'll talk about something other than teams because I want to try and do like 4 at a time because like it doesn't break up evenly if you do 5. Yeah,
Okay, all right.
math. 32 teams, 8 shows, 4 teams apiece. That's right, right? Yeah, that's right. So, um, the Cardinals. We've talked quite a bit about the Cardinals because number one, they have Kyler Murray, they got Jacoby Brissett. Their running game is very lackluster right now because they have James Conner on contract. He got hurt for the whole season. They Benson or whatever was their backup. He gets hurt, gets put on IR. Then I even threw in Carter because I thought he showed some zip anyway, and Bam Knight or whatever. I think both of them showed some potential to at least be NERB on a 53 types, depending on where they were to land. Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and I can't remember what Higgins' first name is or whatever. The backup tight end. He just showed a little bit there, and anytime you can get a tight end to show something, it might make something might happen. Okay, so assets. We could talk about this team in general. First off, they gotta have a QB that is very Jacoby Brissett or Jacoby Brissett esque. Somebody that can deliver the ball, has the balls to just throw the ball, can see over the line. I mean, no offense to Kyler being short, but like it doesn't work for this team. Whatever the case is, it just doesn't work for this team. Marvin Harrison needs to grow a sack and stay healthy. I don't know if it's that he's soft. I mean, the guy could pound me, so like I shouldn't be so hard on him. But I'd be probably okay for the first couple of punches because I don't know if he hits that hard. But after that, I'd probably just fall down on my legs or my knees or whatever and just collapse. But Michael Wilson, I think, is a certifiable stud. I think it's coming along super well. Do I know that he can be a wide receiver 1 for a whole season or whatever? Nah, I don't know. But I also know that, like, if he's with Brissett, man, it's not impossible. You know what I mean? There's probably a 15% chance he could be a wide receiver 1 for a whole season. Like, if that's how they go, like we talked pre-show, like I think that they should probably try and move Harrison in the slot and McBride on the opposite side, kind of just keep moving them around like that. And then you got Michael Wilson on the outside as a target hog. I think he'd be a better target hog than Marvin Harrison. It's just me. But yeah, you draft a guy at number 4 and think that he's, going to change your team, and it's just been gross. I don't know if it's all his fault, you know what I mean? But like, I don't think that, yeah, whatever. I don't know what they do with Kyler Murray. I know that I think you were baiting me with the Jets talk, thinking that maybe we could, we move Kyler Murray to the Jets. If they do that, then just go ahead and set the clock back, wait till, Aaron Glenn gets fired next year, and then they're trying to figure out what to do with Kyler Murray. I don't, I hate saying this because it's terrible to think so negatively, but I don't know that Kyler Murray is a franchise QB. I don't know that I don't know where he could go. I mean, he's going to have to be like a mobile master, right? He's going to have to dance around. He's going to have to find open lanes. He's going to have to be very Russell Wilson-esque before, he quit being good, and I just don't know that he's got that uh, gene or whatever, right? So that's where I am with Wilson or Murray. So
Okay, so let me ask you, Bob. The Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett talk, it's going to be interesting. Who's going to be there? Who isn't going to be there? I mean, it's almost inevitable. Murray's gone, but I'm like you. It's like there isn't a team out there. Like sometimes when we hear, these teams are possibly shopping a player or they're free agents, we're like, oh, that would be a really good fit, right? Like sometimes you think that. Like I'm like you. I don't see anywhere where Kyler goes where I'm just super like, oh, that's wonderful. Like it just doesn't really fit anywhere to me. I'm on the same page as you as far as like, I don't think this guy is a franchise quarterback difference maker type of a guy. I think he was a decent fantasy asset for a long time. But if you remember going back on the Dynasty DNA deep dive with Slim, we talked about selling Kyler Murray before it was too late, right? Like we were on that before maybe a lot of people were. And I know some people were just like we were, but we were on it. And now my question to you is like, if Dante Moore is there at 3, do you take him? Do you not take him? I mean, where are you at for the Cardinals? Do you try to look? I know Brissett's under contract. I'm pretty sure he's back next year again, right? Do you just run it back at this point with him and just see what happens? Is that what you're going to do?
What
here?
I really got to look at, and I mean, this would be a film study for me, right? I want to look and see how the Cardinals lost games. If the Cardinals lost games because their defense wasn't able to stop or, whatever, because it can't just, I mean, it could be. Could it just be when Jacoby Brissett got out there and the situation got to a certain point, that's when he stalled? I don't know. But, like, man, it seemed like they put a lot of points on the board in a lot of games. Now, is it, they were behind and they were able to just catch up? What stopped the Cardinals from winning games? If it looks like it's Jacoby Brissett, then sure. I cannot see. Sure, I'd take a Dante Moore or whatever, and hope that Brissett stays around, mentors him a little bit, at least takes him under his wing, and it shows him the NFL ropes. Right? I don't need you to teach the guy how to play football because he's probably a better football player as far as skill and talent goes. Now, reading an offensive playbook and so on and so forth, all the things that obviously Moore knows how to read an offensive playbook, but like, you get my point, like more of like the practice habits and things like that, because you just don't get to be 32 in the league and have played as long as you have by not having some kind of drive, right? So if I'm the Cardinals, I probably would take Dante Moore if he was there and came out at 3. But I'm also kind of like, I could see it the opposite way too, because unless Dante Moore is wowing you, then I would rather just run one more year with. You've already signed McBride to an extension. You got one more year to see if Marvin Harrison's the real deal. I think right before his contract's up, or you have to decide if you're going to do the 5th-year option on it. Two more. Okay, so then
2 more.
You got 2 more years there, and then Michael Wilson, I think you got for 1 more year for sure. So like you could, if he's still lighting it up, maybe you sign Michael Wilson to a contract extension or whatever. You see if Marvin Harrison's the real deal, and then you draft your quarterback in 27. It could go either way, and it wouldn't surprise me one way or the other, right? I think if Jacoby Brissett's the problem, then I'm okay going with more. But it doesn't seem that way. It just seems like, first off, they really need a running game, right? You can tell that they're missing that. That doesn't it, if your whole defense can focus on the pass, it's hard.
You're
Yeah, they're
one
very
dimensional. Yeah,
one-dimensional,
you're one
right. So
dimensional.
it's, it is what it is there. So I think that either way is not a bad role, but, like, I don't I just don't like putting my eggs in the rookie QB basket. If you feel like, if Gannon feels like the only way to save his job is to get a winning season, then he cannot do it with just, "Oh, I'm gonna draft a rookie and that's gonna save the day," because generally it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the truth about it. And we've seen some bad quarterback play this year, and not just from rookies. I mean, some guys that's been in the league for a little while, and maybe some guys we trusted let us down just a little bit. So, I mean, the quarterback play has been tough. But one other thing with Arizona is this division is very tough. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you got the 49ers, you got the Rams, you got the Seahawks. They're all light years ahead of the Cardinals. So I think, look, and it's terrible for the Cardinal fans because they have suffered a long time, right? But, like, if you sit on your hands a little bit more, I think you just have to be a little bit patient. I know it's easy for me to say, but I think that's where it's at as a Cardinal fan, where you'd have to be. But last thing I want to ask you, Bob, straight up dynasty question, Michael Wilson. Two things. How much faith and belief do you have in him going into next season? And what are you willing to pay? What's the max? Before we wrap up, that's the last question I want to ask. I want to know, how much faith do you have in him? And what are you willing to pay as a maximum from a dynasty standpoint right here today?
Well, if we're talking 26 picks, I'll easily part with my first and second, I think. I
Okay.
don't, I mean, to say that I have a lot of faith, that it's, I think that I just don't, I think he's going to be, he's already shown me more than I think I'm ever going to get from any of the wide receiver in this class. And I mean, I know that's like a bold statement, but, like, some of these guys, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? And I'll be more than happy to be wrong. I'm not, but I'm not afraid to take a dice roll on a guy that I think I've seen. Like, the footballers keep saying Jerry Rice, and I'm like, that's way too high praise, obviously, because Jerry Rice is probably the best wide receiver to ever play the game. But, like, man, it's really good right now, and I mean, he looks really good, and you know,
It's a touchdown a week. It's a big touchdown every week. I mean, you're getting out of Michael Wilson. And look, I think as far as like my faith in Michael Wilson, it will go up as long as I know Jacoby Brissett's the starting quarterback. If Jacoby Brissett is the for sure starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals in 2026, I have ultimate faith because I've seen it multiple times. I mean, look, it's seeing is believing. We say that all the time. Like, we've seen it. Now, if you change that up, it will get interesting, right? Because we've seen Arizona not use this guy in the past. It's just amazing how you could flip the switch this quickly, and a certain quarterback can unlock a player like this. But I mean, as far as the price, Bob, look, I don't mind it. Like, and I think that you have to give that up. I think if you're going to get Michael Wilson right now off somebody's roster, you have to probably pay right around that price. And look, I don't mind taking that gamble because he still is young. He has proved that he could be a number one type of guy. Like, even if he leaves Arizona and after next season, maybe he goes and finds himself in a position where he can be a one on a team and it gets even better
that
again,
was
right? Even if
exactly
it's
what I was gonna say. In all honesty, you hope, even if it's just what you hope for is that somebody opens the bag for him. Because if a team I mean, like, I'll hate saying this as soon as I say it, but, like, if Vegas makes any progress this year and they're still looking for a wide receiver and they can go nab Michael Wilson and the team improves and they got Mendoza, like, they're gonna have to focus on him and Bowers, and it's like, that sounds like a real good recipe for success. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to, I don't want to get all excited about Vegas because they do really stupid stuff, but, like, it's entirely possible. Like right now, you're seeing
yeah,
it
it would
with
be
McBride and Wilson with, with Brissett. Like, if Mendoza's, let's say Mendoza's ceiling or type of play it mimics a Brissett's type of play, which I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of Mendoza in gameplay, but from everything I heard is he's like a super game manager plus, right? So it's like if he's that guy, which seems a lot like Jacoby Brissett is like super game manager plus, like if they, of course you still got a bad offensive line in Vegas and things like that, but if things come together or whatever team, if they open the bag for him, he should become part of the. It's pretty rare that a guy gets paid and they don't use him. So,
yeah. Oh, I agree. And I think that's exactly what you hope for if you acquire Michael Wilson, right? I mean, I'm with you 100%. And I think Vegas, that would be a smart move if they would to take that next step going in the trajectory. Bring in someone like Michael Wilson. I think that'd be a good move. So, really good episode, Bob. Glad we got to talk about this. And when we just talked about it before the show, we wanted to see who locked up some of these top picks, right? We wanted to make sure we got them in for this show, but it was a great one, no doubt. Listen, guys, if you are enjoying the content on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms, and you haven't yet, please follow and 5-star the show. It greatly helps, and we so appreciate it. If you want to check out the Culture Shock live on YouTube on Sunday nights, subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd love to have you. Dynasty DNA on YouTube. You can come in, chat with me and Big Culture Bob in the chat box. We'd love to talk to you for the Culture Shock live. Follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. Listen, I know I speak for Big Culture Bob and everyone here at the Dynasty DNA Network when we say have a great first full week of 2026. Enjoy what's left of football. Hopefully your team made the playoffs. But until then,